So on this particular episode, we're going to look at the importance of how you structure your sponsored product campaigns. This might seem like a basic topic, but it is certainly one that we see an issue with time and time again with our agency when we're auditing accounts across the world. So this is something to really have in mind, and it's really going to have a massive impact on the success of your campaigns, because the more success you see with your advertisement, with your kind of product sales on Amazon, the more products you're going to introduce, the more there's going to be within that account. So you want to make sure you have a good structure in place, and this is what we tend to see when we look at campaigns. So this is kind of the structure that you have. So you tend to have a campaign, and within that you have the kind of, you set the budgets and a bunch of settings, and then within that you can have multiple ad groups, right? You can have as many as you like. Well, I mean, yeah, you can have quite a lot of ad groups, and within those ad groups you have the products you want to advertise, and whatever targeting method you want to have in place. There is a problem with doing it this way, and these are the issues with this structure. So to begin with, one of the big problems with this structure is the lack of budget control, right? So let's just say, this is just a very basic example of having two ad groups. Most occasions we see 8, 10, 20 ad groups within a campaign. Let's just say two of those ad groups of the 7 that you have are performing exceptionally well, and you want to give those ad groups more exposure because you're getting good sales. You can't do that if you have this structure, because the moment you increase that campaign budget, that budget is then going to be distributed across all our groups. So it's not necessarily going to prioritize what's converting the best. It might that you might have one ad group that has some very, very broad targeting that is seeking a lot of exposure, but it's not getting a good return in the advertising spend. If you increase that campaign budget, a lot of that will go to that ad group too. So that's the first thing. The second thing to bear in mind is there's no control on the exposure you have for each ASIN. So within a particular ad group, if you have 3 or 4 different products being advertised, right, you have no control which one appears more often, right? So you want to make sure you have each product advertised. So if you have a bunch of child ASINs, so it could be just different sizes or different colors, it's not the end of the world if you put them within one ad group, but ultimately you're going to have a hero child ASIN, and if that's going to bring in the best conversions and it's going to be the window into that product, then that's going to be the ASIN you're going to want to push the hardest. So you do really want to be structuring these campaigns per ASIN. And then placement bidding. So placement bidding is done on a campaign level. So if we notice, for example, one of your campaigns performs really well at top of search, it costs a lot more, but the conversion rates are higher, it's more efficient, right? If you then adjust your bidding, so you're spending 100%, 50%, 200% on top of placement bids, right, and you don't have a good concise structure, any of the given products could be appearing at the top of search. Any of the given targeting options you have could be shown at the top of search, and it's not necessarily all of them that have performed well, right? So you don't have the control. But if you did have a structure where it's kind of very much laid out, then yeah, you can really take advantage of the important feature of placement bidding. So that's something else to bear in mind. And then also bidding strategy. So this is less important, but if you want to experiment with up and down, fixed bids, down only, you can only do this on the campaign level. So if you have a few different types of targeting that you want to experiment with different bidding strategies, you really do need to have these structured out. So these are the biggest problems. So what we'd recommend is ensuring that you put your structure first. So what would it look like if I added 5 new ASINs? What's the structure that would be good to have? Or if you have multiple ASINs right now, what's the structure that I should have in place that not only am I able to identify which types of targeting is working well, but it's done properly, so it doesn't get messy and cluttered. Also, yeah, budget controls. So having this structure is going to allow you to distribute whatever monthly budget you have to places that have the highest impact. So where is the types of advertising that you're doing that's going to have the best impact, and then being focused. So okay, this ASIN, we're going to have multiple campaigns. We're going to have campaigns for this ASIN that is going to focus on rank. So which terms do we want to rank for? We're going to have keywords and terms around discovery. Okay, what kind of terms and what kind of ASINs are we going to target to try and figure out any additional pieces of exposure that we can present to this ASIN that could bring us some more sales, give you some ideas in terms of how to optimize the listing. It might even give you some variation products ideas too. So being really, really focused. That way you can really understand the data that then is presented to you. Without having to dig in and figure some stuff out, and others you just won't be able to unless you have focused campaign builds. So this is the structure we recommend. So if you're looking at automatic targeting, we would recommend, okay, for each of the types of auto targeting you could do, so you've got close match, loose match, substitutes, and complement, having a campaign for each. So close match and tends to do really well because it's very much carefully associated with that particular ASIN. So you're going to want to see most of the time we tend to see that the best results come from close match. So and it might need a slightly higher cost per click bid, and therefore if it gets the exposure, you don't want to limit it. Complement substitutes could be a really good way of discovering very different types of products that you can target, but you do really want to have these split out. Some tools won't allow you to do this, but it's definitely recommended doing this, especially if you have a very select few ASINs, and you're doing high volumes through those ASINs. You want to do this to kind of constantly be discovering, okay, what other types of ASINs and keywords could I be adding to my campaigns by having this in place. So that's how we recommend automatic targeting, and this is really important. So within sponsored products, you should have the different match types in their own campaigns. You do not want to be mixing up the match types. Match types do different things, right? So on one extreme, exact match is focusing on those particular terms you want to target, and this is most of the time used for ranking purposes, right? You understand, okay, these 5 keywords are the most relevant for my campaigns. Obviously, you might have more. I'm sure you'll have more, but these are the terms, and I know I convert well for them, so I want to make sure I get exposure for these. So you might pay slightly higher for these terms per click. You're going to probably push for top of placement bidding on these. And then they're going to have an impact on your organic, right? And there's going to be some keywords. It might be the most high volume terms, but there might be some very focused terms that might not get that much volume. But when they do, their conversion rates are really high, and they tend to turn into a sale. You want to make sure that they are not in any way limited by budget, and they're going to be given higher CPC bids as well, just to ensure that they get the exposure they need. So that you got that on one end, right? Now on the other end, you're going to have broad match, and this is where you're allowing Amazon, with a select few keywords you give it, to really find other terms that are similar that you can serve ads to. So with this, it's less likely you're going to scale this, right? So it's going to have controlled budgets, right? So you want to enable it to have controlled budgets, as well as having the controlled budgets. You're going to want to have the bids kind of carefully monitored as well, just so you can figure out, okay, what terms are coming in. So when you understand the exact match, you want to then add those as negatives, for example, and you want to do that. You want to add those exact keywords as negative exact on a broad match, so that they don't appear through that campaign. And on a broad match, once you start to discover, okay, there's 4 or 5 keywords for some reason that wasn't picked up through search query, it wasn't picked up anywhere else, it wasn't picked up through any of the tools, but it may be a trend, right? It may be someone has recently started searching for it because of the time of year, and it's converting really well, right? You can then instantly react, take that term out, and put it into an exact match in its own campaign within exact match, and start targeting it. And again, with this type of targeting, we would recommend having one ASIN per campaign, so you're really understanding which product is performing how with the keywords you give it, right? A lot of tools are also going to like this structure, because then you're able to put in rules for each of those campaigns and have different bidding strategies for each of those campaigns. And as well, as long as you label it properly, this will really set you up well. And then you have product targeting. So on one end, on one end, I didn't go for phrase match. So phrase match is something in between. So it's not going to be as exact match, but it's not going to be as broad match. So it's going to find terms in the middle. We tend to focus more on a broad and exact match, but on occasions we do tend to find that phrase match does perform well. And if it does, you want to give it campaign budget, but ultimately you want to be really pushing for exact match to get you position well and selling well. So that's phrase match. And then product targeting. So you have category targeting and product targeting. And category targeting, you can basically go into a particular product category that you're in, and you can target that particular category, and it will show you for any ASINs that are within that category. So think of this as an auto campaign for product targeting. It's going to allow you to discover new ASINs that might have just come in that you convert well for, and then you can add them to ASIN targeting. With product targeting, you're probably going to have a bunch of different types of product targeting campaigns in place. So you might have ones that a product targeting campaign for one ASIN that is closely related ASINs. These are ASINs that match your products. Those that you win in terms of price, so you're priced more competitively than others. You might have a campaign that is review focused, so any ASINs where you're winning in terms of review rating. You might have some loosely connected product targeting campaign. You might have some complementary targeting campaigns as well. So it's not necessarily the same item as yours, but you tend to see that these items are frequently brought together. So there's going to be a whole range of different product targeting campaigns you can do. And even with the category targeting campaign, you might want to target, obviously, the main category where you're in, so you're getting exposure through those terms. But are there any other categories that are very similar to what the products that you sell that you're not in right now, but are still quite related? You can test your products in those categories too. So that's something else to bear in mind. I hope you found this useful. And just to let you know, if you did want us to look at your account and give you some advice specifically focused to your account, we'll be more than happy to do it. You can either click on the link below or scan the QR code to sign up for a free PPC audit. There's absolutely no conditions to it. We're just very happy to go in and see where we can provide value. And if there's enough value and you could do with a resource like us to help you, then we were obviously happy to help. We also have a community on the platform called School, where we have invited over the last year all of our clients and also those in the industry that we know and respect and trust. And we put them all into one place. And this is where content is shared, where ideas are discussed all around Amazon. There's also video content that's placed on there. You're very welcome to join. Again, you can either scan the QR code above or click on the link below. Hope you found this useful and have a lovely day. Goodbye.